Once again, we are in M-Life product training. So today we're going to talk about a product that I like the most. This one. Can you see this? And this one, right? AmFit. Okay. So a lot of people will think fit. Fit means what? For slim down, for build muscle. No, not really. As what Irene has just mentioned. AmFit is actually an enzyme food. Okay, let's before we start the topic, may I ask just now? I didn't ask if anybody has taken your lunch. I believe everybody has, right? I just can you just let me know? Type in the chat room. Normally, when you take your food, how would you like your food to be served? How would you like your food to be prepared? Do you like it boiled or steamed or fried or whatever? Can you just type the type of cooking method you like your food to be prepared? Type in the chat room, please. Just have a look and see. Anybody? Can you type and see? Let me see. How do you like your food to be served? You like to be barbecue, or you like to? Or some people like it fried, right? Some people like stew, like stewed beef. Very nice, right? Then some people like in curry. Some people like steam. Yeah, okay. So we are living in, especially in Asia, in Singapore and Malaysia. There are so many ways that we can prepare our food, right? So of course it tastes nice when you cook. But anybody here take food raw or rare? Anybody? Do you take your food raw or rare? Okay. I think everybody is a bit shy today to respond. Don't worry, no problem. Now, why I ask? Yeah, Japanese, right? Yes, you go sashimi, right? Yeah. Anybody like Japanese food? Like sashimi? Yeah, me too. I like that too. No, now why I ask this question to everybody today? Because the topic we're talking about is about enzyme today. Okay, it's about AmFit. It's about enzyme. Before we go deep into the what makes up the AmFit, let us understand the topic that we call enzyme. Okay, so let me share my screen. Yeah, let me share my screen. Can everybody see my screen? Enzyme. If you can you type at 1 in the chat room, please? Okay, right. Okay, now let's start. Now, why the picture I show you, the enzyme is surrounded by a lot of colorful fruits and vegetables, right? So why we show this picture to you? Because all this food that you see, on the picture, do you have to cook it before you eat, or can you eat it raw? You can eat it raw, right? Anybody cook your apple before you eat? Or cook your oranges? Oh, no, right? So all the food that I show you is actually colorful fruits and vegetables, okay? And these are the fruits that normally we can eat also raw, right? Now, okay, now this is important because enzymes is a kind of protein, as explained by Irene. It's a kind of protein. The protein will be cooked if it is exposed to extreme condition, especially like heat. Anything above 55 degrees Celsius, the enzyme will start to, we call it denature. Denature when the protein start to cook, okay? So once enzyme is being cooked or denatured, then it will lose its function. So what is this actually, what is all this enzyme about? See, why is it so important to bring up this issue? Because in Asia, especially Chinese, we have so many ways of cooking our food. So we barbecue, we boil hot soup, as hot as possible. We like to consume food in hot way. So most of the time when this happens, most of the enzyme naturally present in the food already denatured or spoiled. Therefore, a lot of food that we eat, we couldn't get the benefit of enzyme from the food. That's why we encourage a lot of people to eat more raw food like vegetable and fruits. Okay. Now let's go to the next slide. Okay. Okay. So what is actually enzyme? If you actually compare our body like as a house, then the enzyme is actually the workers that's going to repair your house or build your house. Then the food that you eat, the material, the nutrient that you absorb. In last training, I told everybody that there's something called a micronutrient. Micro means a lot. So food that take in a big amount, for example, the carbohydrates, like protein, like fat, These are the building blocks of the main material to build up the house, our body, just like the bricks and wood and things like that. Okay. Then we have the workers. Then with the workers and material, we still need some tools. So micronutrients such as vitamins and trace elements will act like the tools. So may I ask you a question? If you want to build a house, or you need to repair a house, you have the material, you have the tools. Do you need the worker? Of course. No workers, how to make it work? How to repair the cell? How to build a new cell? Correct or not? Exactly. So this is how important the enzyme is. So let me ask you a question. Is enzyme important? Of course. Without enzyme, all the biochemical reactions, practically there are more than 5,000 biochemical reactions which is happening in our body at any time. Okay, our bodies basically are a mix of trillions of cells, and all the cells are living entities, and all the cells need to be repaired, or need to be rebuilt, and all the cells needs workers to work. They need enzyme to work. Without workers, all the supplements you eat, the nutrients you eat, it just goes to waste. It just doesn't work. Okay. Now, in our body, a complete body, in a human body, we consist of 9 major systems. 9 major systems that require enzyme to work in it. Okay. Now, practically, we have digestive system. Okay. We have endocrine system, the hormone system I'm talking about. We have the nervous system, the nervous cells. We have the respiratory system, the breathing organs, and the reproductive systems. We have also urinary system, where you discharge of urine. We have immune system. We have also vascular system, which is the blood circulation system. We also have the muscular system, all your muscles and tendons and ligaments. Okay, so basically all 9 systems require the workers, the enzymes. Okay, for example, just going to give you some brief idea about how enzyme works, what does the work looks like. For example, our digestive system. Okay, in our digestive system, we start to take food from the mouth. Okay, so we take a drumstick, for example, the drumstick in our mouth, and the drumstick is big, and they contain protein and some fat and some sugar and all these things that we need in our body, but because it's too big, it has to be broken down. So in our mouth, we start to chew the food and break down the food into smaller pieces. And then at the same time, you know, when the thing, especially when the food is delicious, what comes up in the mouth? Saliva, right? Wow, you see some sumptuous food, some delicious foods. Looking at it also, your saliva also come up. Correct or not? Why? So this is a natural reaction because in the saliva itself, we have some enzyme inside. So in the saliva, we have amylase. So what does the amylase enzyme do? The amylase enzyme actually breaks down carbohydrates. Okay, so that means if you take bread or take white rice, you know, when you start to chew in the mouth, the enzyme, the amylase will start and the carbohydrates, the rice and the bread, and start to break it down into smaller molecule and go gradually into sweet substance like maltose and glucose. Okay, now that's why when you take carbohydrates, especially plain carbohydrates like bread, like rice, okay, you can try this at home. Take some bread, white bread or rice, put in the mouth, give a few chew, just chew 2 times and then swallow. And then you try to recall, what does it taste like? Very bland, no taste. That's not tasty, right? People don't like it, correct or not? Now, you believe me, yeah? You go back and try. You try to chew more than 10 times. 10 times, okay? Before you swallow, okay? And then you try to recall, what is the taste like compared to the previous one? If you have, anybody have tried this before? Even when you eat white bread, just bread, white bread, nothing. You don't apply any cream, anything, okay? After you chewing, the longer you chew, the sweeter it becomes, right? Yes, that's right. That's why chewing is so important. When you chew more, you enjoy the food more, okay? At the same time, you start to break down the food because when you take the bread or rice, the plain carbohydrate in your mouth and start to chew, the saliva start to add on it. The enzyme in the saliva called amylase start to add on it and start to break down the carbohydrate into glucose. So glucose is sugar, is sweet. That's why you feel the sweetness. So as the food you chew, you swallow, go down to your esophagus, and then go to your stomach, and then your digestive system, okay, start to produce more other enzymes to break down different type of food. For example, in the stomach, the stomach start to produce and secretes protease. Protease, we actually can hydrolyze or break down protein into amino acid. And the lipase also will be secreted into the stomach, okay, to do what? To break down our fat, the fatty meat that you eat, some vegetable oil that you swallow in. All this fat thing is called, which is triglyceride, will be broken down by lipase into smaller molecule, for example, like fatty acid, now glycerol. And as they pass through after that, the food will again pass through to our small intestine in the duodenum side. Further, more enzyme will be secreted, like lipase and also protease of different type. They break down at different bonds to break down the fat molecule and also the protein molecule into much smaller molecule until it becomes so small and so minute until to the level that our villi in the small intestine will be able to absorb it into our blood. That is called a full digestion. Okay, so for your knowledge, carbohydrates, once it's broken down to the smallest unit that we can absorb by our body, is called glucose. Whereas protein has to be broken down into the amino acid level before it can be absorbed by the villi. Whereas fat or the triglyceride will be broken down into fatty acid and glycerol before it can be absorbed. Okay, so after it is absorbed, then it will be absorbed to where? It go into our bloodstream. Go into bloodstream, and then the first thing it will send to our liver, and then it will be processed, metabolized, assimilate or dissimilate. It will be further built up or broken down before it will go back into the bloodstream and then descend to the whole body. Okay, through the bloodstream circulation, blood will bring all these nutrients to every part of the body to supply to what? To our cell, body cell. That is the ingredient that we need by the cells. Okay, in the cell, once you reach the cell have to absorb this in, okay, go into the cell, the nutrient have to go into the cell, and the cell will start to use it. What do they use for? For example, like glucose. The glucose that your cell absorb from the blood, okay? So it will go into the cell and go to a certain place. A place is like a factory or a generator. We call it mitochondria. The organelle is called mitochondria. Is where the glucose will be further broken down to provide energy to us, ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to provide us energy for the cell to work, okay? But at the same time, when they're producing the thing that we need, some byproduct can be produced. For example, like extra water or even like carbon dioxide, so it will be produced. Then this carbon dioxide has to be discharged out or eliminated from the cell because it's toxin, yeah? And then we have to go back to the blood, and the blood will send back to our lung, and then we will have to breathe out, okay? Then sometimes when this small molecule or the nutrient is absorbed into the cell, it is not burned down. In fact, it is assimilated, meaning it is built up, it will join up to form the protein, the structure that we want. For example, the amino acid, various type of amino acid they have taken in from your food. In the cell itself, when it reaches the cell, they will combine different type of amino acid to form the protein structure that our human body needs. Maybe to form your skin, or maybe to form your hair, you know. So during the process, we need synthesized enzyme. During the burning process, to produce the energy, we need the burning enzyme. Okay, we have, so the burning part is breaking up, is called dissimulations. So the building up block, the synthesized part is called assimilations. So both process will produce the thing that we want, but also some wastage will be produced. So what happened to the wastage? Wastage will be further broken down by the enzyme into even smaller molecule. For example, extra protein will be further broken down into like uric acid and or urea before it is sent back to the blood, and then the blood will send this wastage to our detoxification system, for example, to form our stool and urine before it's passed out from our body. Okay, now do you have a better idea of what does enzyme do today? Okay, very good. Okay, I believe you have a bit idea now. Now, let's go into a bit further. Just like I mentioned, we have 9 complete systems that build up a complete human body. Now, what if enzyme is not enough? What is enzyme is deficient. We do not get enough enzyme from our food. We do not have enough enzyme in our body. So because the way we prepare our food, we always cook it. So anything above 50 over degrees Celsius, most of the enzyme will be denatured, will be broken down. Not broken down, they will call it deformed, we call it denatured or cooked. And enzyme once cooked or denatured, they will lose its function. Enzyme is very specific, okay? This enzyme worker is very specific. They only do one thing and only one, very specific. That's why, because of their specificities, specializations, they don't bother about others, they only do their own work. 5,000 over biochemical reaction happen all at the same time in the body without disturbing each other. That is how unique enzyme is, okay? So now, okay, why not we just look into a bit more detail into how enzyme deficiencies will affect different systems in our body, okay? Now, the first system we go into will be our digestive system. That's where we eat. That's the system that we eat, right? We produce the food. You see, lack of digestive enzyme will cause what? Will actually lead to poor absorption. Why? Why poor absorption? Naturally, if you do not have enough enzyme in your stomach, in your duodenum, in your small intestine, of course, then the food particle will not be broken down into the molecule small enough to be absorbed by the villi. That means the nutrient that we eat is not absorbed into your body. Then the blood will have not enough nutrient, even though you eat here, but it is not received into the blood. If it's not in the blood, then you will not be sent to your body cell, and then your body cell will not benefit anything for it. Okay, so the lack of digestive enzyme will cause poor absorptions. Of course, it will then decline in this digestive function, which will lead to indigestion. Now, indigestion will cause problem because indigestion, then you have extra food that you cannot absorb, remains in your intestine or your guts. And this thing will start to move, continue to move, and you will come one stage, come to our big intestine or our large intestine, where a lot of fauna, remember the last training, a lot of bacteria is staying there. So if you do not take the food, that will be the food heaven then for the bacteria there. Some of them are good bacteria, some of them bad. The bad bacteria will start to eat the food, or we call it petrification, or we call it fermentation. So and then they will also at the same time produce a lot of gas. So people who have indigestions, what problem will they have? Bloated stomach, always bloating, burping, farting a lot, yeah. Now, so that the net result at the end, if you have enzyme deficiency in our digestive system, then it will cause our body will not be able to absorb the nutrient that from our food that we need from our food. Then you have this digestive disorder. So the common digestive disorder include acute and chronic gastritis. So you have stomach. So we have gastric problem. Okay, the serious one may even cause stomach cancer. Okay, we also have seen a lot of malabsorption symptoms. Malabsorption symptoms, that means you do not absorb the nutrient that you need. So you become a nutrient deficiency. Okay, some of the nutrient they absorb, it could be not balanced. So maybe some of the fat molecule will be more absorbed rather than others because certain enzymes are not enough. Then your body will accumulate a lot of fatty nutrients. It will all accumulate near our liver. So it causes fatty liver, and also it will cause hyperacidity. So most of the food that we consume are acidic. That's why it will cause us hyperacidity in our digestive system as well, which will then affect the fauna composition in our bowel, in our guts, to affect bloating, gas bloating problem. Okay, so this is the first system that will get affected if you have enzyme deficiency. That's our digestive system. Are you clear? Is it okay? Can you type 1 in the chat room if it's okay, everybody? Okay, very good. All right. Okay, now let's move on to the second system. Okay, the second system is our endocrine system. What is endocrine? Endocrine is referring to our hormone. Yeah, hormone. Where can you get hormone? Hormone, you have a lot of hormone glands around the body. Okay, like you know, your thyroid is here, right? You know the thyroid is here, right? We have some on just above your kidney, the adrenaline is there. Okay, now actually enzyme deficiency also affect our endocrine system. Lack of enzyme will cause the food that cannot be catalyzed. Lack of enzyme, the digestion system, we do not have food, the workers that break down the nutrients, that then it cannot be absorbed. That will cause the fat accumulation in the body. And that's why we have this fatty liver problem. After a period of time, endocrine disorder will start to appear. Now, prolonged period of deficiency and effect, it will cause adverse effect to our endocrine system. Now, the end of it, what will happen to your body? You will see your skin looks dull, poor, you may develop acne, pimples, and spots like pigmentations. And in fact, also for ladies, it will also affect your period times, your menstruation height, your height cycles. Okay, so metabolic symptoms are very normal, very easy to see when you have enzyme deficiency. Metabolic symptoms, for examples like when you have the common one, like you have low in your HDL, the good cholesterol, then you could be high blood pressure, high blood sugar, and high triglycerides, and all these things. Yeah, and also you also will, of course, when your hormone system is off balance, imbalance, you will definitely look older. Okay, some people you can see even though the age is still young, but when they have when they experience enzyme deficiency that affect the endocrine system, they end up looking like 10 years older, 20 years older than their actual age. Yeah. Okay. Now, of course, when they look old, your skin also looks poor. Correct? Anybody want to looks good? Make sure your hormone system are balanced. To make sure you have balance, you must have sufficient enzyme in our body to make this thing happen. Okay. Right? So this is the second system we're talking about, the endocrine system. What about the next system that we're going to discuss? So the next system we're going to talk about in the short while is, okay, now, just now when I mentioned about hormone, yeah, it will because if you do not have enough enzyme to break down, especially like the fat, nutrient like fats, so some of the fat will start to accumulate. Now, accumulation of fat under our adipose tissue, it could be a big problem, because when you accumulate a lot of fat, you start to grow bigger and we become fatter. Okay, now Malaysia really boleh, everything also boleh, including we are the fattest country in Southeast Asia. Of all the country we have the biggest tummy. Now from the record that we understand, we have Malaysians fat people. Okay, fat people refer to BMI more than 25, okay? Fat, okay, or overweight, okay? It's about 44.2%, 44.2, okay? That means almost like 100 people, 44 are fat. But out of the 44.2%, they are actually more than 19%, actually, which is too fat. What is too fat? Too fat means the BMI is more than 30, yeah, more than 30. And this 19% is called under the category of obesity. So fat and obese is slightly different. Fat is only BMI is about 25 to 30. Anything BMI above 30 is called the obese. Okay. By the way, do you know what is BMI? BMI actually refers is an index that actually we can refer to indicate whether a person is underweight, normal weight, overweight, or obese. Okay, as a normal range, a normal BMI actually is the ratio between your body weight and also your body height. Okay, so the number is the normal number is about 18 to 22, 23. Okay, to 25, up to 25. It's still considered okay. Okay, but up more than 25 will be full fat, is overweight. More than 30 is obese. Below 18, normally it's called underweight. Okay, but Malaysia, we are always on the high side. Okay, now what's the problem with obese or fat? Too fat. Now, when we are obese, this is very, very scary. When you're obese, many things can happen to our body. Right? Now, when you're obese, what will happen? Obesity actually will cause a lot of risks, health risks to our body. Now, it can affect your brain. It might even cause stroke. It can affect your heart. So cardiovascular disease, for example, like high blood pressure, hypertension. It can cause cancer to your colon. It can cause gout in your leg. It can cause diabetes. It can cause osteoarthritis. Your joint could be painful, you know? And also it can even cause gallbladder problem, maybe the stone in the gallbladder. And also we may have problem in breathing because it's too big. It all put a lot of pressure, tension and burden to your body when you have too much of fat, excessive fat tissue in your body or obesity. Okay, now, so actually, let's look at the next picture. Okay, now, in fact, the expert already mentioned most of the diseases that we see in modern days nowadays, the root cause are due to obesity or too fat. Okay, now what are the sickness that may be results because as a result of obesity? For example, type 2 diabetes is one of them. Type 2 meaning it's not born with it. The diabetes developed after you were born. It's because of your own doing. Okay, don't blame your father or mother or grandfather. Okay, you may even see metabolic syndromes like what? Like I mentioned just now, high blood sugar, high blood pressures, low in HDL, and then we have too high in triglyceride, things like that. Okay, all these are the problems that can lead to heart problem. Okay, and then we also see people may have suffered because obesity. You will suffer cardiovascular diseases like heart problem, heart attack, and also we may see people with osteoarthritis, you know, where joints are painful and you couldn't walk. Okay, and when you're too big, there are very often we will see people snore, and they are just not normal snoring. They may even develop sleep apnea, where you may have intermittent of breathing stopness during the midnight. So when it can be dangerous for people who have severe sleep apnea, you may just suffocate it at night and just pass and just go. Okay. Now we can also have when you're obese, most likely that your liver will also be very fatty. So they will also affect the function of our liver. Okay. Now also you will also see people may develop depression when you are too fat. Why? Everything was slow, it will be clumsy, and people actually do not want to mix with them, low self-esteem. All these things will also happen. Okay. Now, and also certain type of cancer also can develop. Now, many and very often nowadays we see obese people also have difficulty in having baby or infertility. Now, these are all the things that we are concerned about, right? So actually, enzyme deficiency will lead to impaired body functions, okay? Low metabolisms and accumulation of toxin and fats. You see, so that's why now this is very important because all this, when this thing happens, at the end, the scariest truth comes out. Why? There will be very high chance of obese people that actually will develop cancers. Now one of the key reasons is because now in our body, most of the tissues are not mobile, not working, except muscles. So muscles are moving. So this part of body tissue normally is a bit warmer, okay? Whereas fat is not muscle, it doesn't move. It just keep and store energy. So it is normally a bit colder in nature. So we know very well, cancer will develop more in a colder tissue rather than a warmer tissue. That's why you can see, normally you never heard people who run marathon develop cancer. No, people who always sit at home, like potato couch potato, that is always having the cancer. Now let's take a look at what kind of cancer that you can develop if you are too obese. Okay, now let me look at the next slide. Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, now WHO actually has come up with a list, a guide to show us, cancer which is related to obesity include meninges. Meninges means referring to the brain cancers. The cancer can also develop in esophagus, your throat, and also breast cancers, bone marrow cancers, kidney cancers, cervical cancers, ovary cancer for ladies. This is very common nowadays. And we have also colon, what we mentioned last 2 weeks before about colon rectum cancers. We also mentioned there will be cancer developed even in pancreas and also in our gallbladder, our liver, and even our thyroid. So these are the 13 different types of cancer that actually can closely related to obesity, which is caused by enzyme deficiency from the beginning. Okay, so actually, in short, enzyme is a savior of metabolic syndromes. So now, actually, just look back into our history. Okay, as long as there's organism, that means there's living things. This is our body. We are living things. We are made out of small little cells, which also a living entity. Okay, for any living entity, enzymes are needed for maintaining normal physiological operations. Okay, enzymes are essential for regulation of signal transmission and all the cellular activity. Everything happens in our body. Are biochemical reactions. It's all happening in our cells itself, in the cell, small cell itself. And there are few thousand biochemical reactions happening all the time at the same time. And because of enzyme, they do specific job, specific function. They do their own job without disturbing others. That's how wonderful the enzyme works. Okay. Now, enzymes are currently known to catalyze more than 5,000 biochemical reactions as reported. And also some of the enzymes actually flow in our blood. Okay. Some of them enter our cells. Some of them have their own tasks in their organs. For example, in our livers, the liver is one of the most active organs of our body, especially in breaking down toxin, and breaking down cholesterol. So they have specific enzyme to do that in the liver. Enzymes are actually very important to the animal's digestive system. It can break down the large molecules such as starch and protein before they enter the digestive system tract into small, so that they break into this molecule, as I mentioned just now. Protein will become amino acid, fat become fatty acid and glycerol, carbohydrate become sugar like glucose, before it is small enough to be absorbed by the small intestine, through the villi. Okay, so can you follow me? Are you still with me? Is it okay? All right, now let us continue. Okay, enzymes are required for almost all intercellular metabolic process. Intercellular means between the cells, changing of material between the cells. Okay, enzymes enable metabolism to proceed in the correct way. So everything biochemical reaction that happen within the cells is called metabolism. This the terms that many people says come across. Okay, and it actually enzyme will govern and enable this metabolism to be proceed in the proper way. So then, and to make things even better, enzyme make the whole process go faster. It can accelerate the rates, because just like chemical catalysts, it actually lower the energy required to make certain chemical reaction to proceed smoother. Okay, so that this substance or that need to be broken down within the cells or need to be built up or synthesized within the cell can happen in a faster way. And that is important to maintain the life of the cell and thereafter the whole body. So in fact, without enzyme, metabolic pathway, for example, like glycolysis, cannot be performed at all. Now, what is glycolysis, for example? Now, glycolysis actually is a process that's happening in the small organelle in the cell called mitochondria, the cell, as I mentioned, the factory or the generator, the energy production house in the cell. Glycolysis refer to the process where glucose is broken down by different enzymes to produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and to give us energy that's required by the cells to work and life and maintain their life. Okay, so if the enzyme is not present, this whole process cannot happen. Eventually, this cell will die, and eventually we will die. See, can you see now how important is enzyme? Wow, it is very, very important. Okay, so now enzyme work in a very unique way, as I mentioned just now. So enzyme, this enzyme is a protein. It's a protein molecule, but it's a big one. It's a big one. And protein molecule, when it's a big one, is 3D. It's not 2D. Yeah. So they will have a surface of different shape. It could be like mountain, it could be like holes, things like that. So all this is called the conformation structure of this protein make the enzyme very specific, because these holes can fit certain substance, the shape of certain substance only. Therefore, enzyme has a special affinity towards certain molecule. Therefore, not all the molecule can stick to the hole, but only certain part. Just like what? Just like the concept of lock and key. It's very specific. That's right. When the enzyme is there, it will allow certain molecule to act on it only, not others. That's why thousands of reactions can happen at the same time in the cell, but without disturbing each other because of this enzyme. So enzyme is so special. Some of the enzyme actually have a hole, has a site for the molecule to come in and then be broken down. It's called the burning process. Okay, we call it dissimilation process, or enzyme with a hole where two substances come in and then they join together and form a bigger molecule. It's called the assimilation process or synthesis process. So both also can happen on this enzyme. Okay, this is how specific the enzyme is. But when you cook the enzyme, when the enzyme exposed to extreme factors like high heat, this hole will be deformed, because it expand, it will straighten or things like that. So the hole will no longer be the same shape anymore. Then the reactive substance with the original shape cannot fit in anymore. So this enzyme doesn't work anymore. See, that's how enzymes are so sensitive to heat. So cooking method become very vital in order to preserve the bioactivity of the enzyme. So enzyme deficiency also affects our nervous system. Our nerves, okay? Lack of enzymes slows our body's digestions, resulting in insufficient nutrition intake. Okay, insufficient nutrition will result in the body's nervous system getting not enough energy it needs, especially as I mentioned about the ATP, the production of energy by burning glucose in the mitochondria, yeah, which will handle our nervous functions, causing weak memory, and loss of memory, weak memory, and also a slow down response, ability to respond fast. So nervous system disorder, when they develop, you will see people suffering from Alzheimer's diseases and also cardiovascular diseases, for example. Okay, now, so this is the third system, the nervous system that be affected. What about the next one? So next one we talk about our breathing. So breathing is our respiratory system. Our respiratory system will also be mildly affected. Yeah. Now, respiratory system, our lungs and the system actually require assistance of enzyme to work very, very much. Okay. Lack of enzyme will cause difficulty in breathing, leading to breathing disorder. Now, for example, like currently COVID-19, which actually the virus affects our lung and stay in the lung and make the lung cells, it attack the lung cells and make the lung cell form fibrous tissue. And in that, when the lung cell form fibrous tissues, it can no longer allow the enzyme there to work, and therefore the oxygen transfer between the atmosphere and also the cell will be stopped, will be hindered. That's why you find difficulty in breathing. Okay. Now, in a normal, in a more milder situation, a normal case, not COVID-19, breathing difficulty may be actually can be seen as a dry cough, always coughing, poor lung, like your capacity is not enough. You always have to breathe very hard before you can get enough air, and also other symptoms. Okay. Now, the most common respiratory diseases is such like asthma and also bronchitis. Okay. Now, normally these people will be often coughing, and sometimes they cough with phlegm, and sometimes they cough with blood. And then they always feel like they are suffocating. At the end, they couldn't breathe. Okay. Sometimes when they're serious in the hospitals, they may need the assistance of breathing equipment. Okay. Now, next we're going to look into our reproductive system. Now, reproductive systems is very sensitive, especially on the acid and base balance, okay, alkaline and acid balance, okay. Now, especially in ladies, okay. Now, a lot of cases, men and ladies alike, but more even in lady, because lady has to produce egg, okay, and then they have to prepare the whole reproductive system, the lady, to prepare to receive embryo or fetus, okay. So this acid-base balance has become very vital, and enzyme plays an important role in maintaining the acid-base balance in the reproductive system. If this is not properly being balanced, they will develop reproductive system diseases such as infertility, not able to carry baby, and also the endometrium is easily fall off. So endometrium is referring to the mucous membrane layer of the uterus. That means the lining. So this part always become it will develop, become bigger and thicker when ladies experiencing your menstruation period. That's because they are preparing for any possible implantation of a fetus or fertilized egg, so that you can hold the baby there. So if the acid-base balance is not always being maintained, so this endometrium layer can easily fall off. Therefore, it will not be able to carry any baby. Okay, so enzyme deficiency now not only affect our motor function, in fact, it can cause life, unborn life. Okay, now, and also when acid-base is imbalance happens in our reproductive system, it will also may cause various inflammations. So inflammation is actually it refers to the cell of the certain part swollen, become reddish and hot and heated, and that's happened. Some of the ducts, holes or lumen will be smaller and become stuck. Okay, it may cause restriction in any flow of the fluid, especially into later we'll talk about like our urinary system. Okay, now, so anybody here want to produce baby, better take care of the acid balance, acid and base balance of the reproductive system. Okay. Now, next we're going to talk about our very closely to our reproductive system is our urinary system. Okay, the sixth system talking about will be urinary system. Now, urinary system actually refer to urinary first. Okay, now the part our body actually have to remove the excessive toxin from the body to our urine. Okay, now so this part actually will consist our kidney, and then we have our urine bladders, okay, and of course the enzyme and can promote our body's metabolism, and these two, those who lack of enzyme will have urinary system disorder as well. Okay, in the early stage, it is only often to see symptoms of what? Go to toilet very frequent. We call it frequent urinations. Okay, especially at night, especially when the weather get cold. Okay, now with severe restricted kidney function, for example, it can lead to urine turning into different color, like producing extremely yellow color, very strong smell, for example, and very concentrated. Okay, now urinary system diseases the normally see in people with diabetes. And sometimes kidney stone can develop also when they have enzyme deficiency in our urinary system. Okay, now this is a sixth system. System number 7 we talk about. We have enzyme deficiency is actually our immune system. Okay, now immune system is very important to our body, especially right now. You know, right? So anything that going to harm our body, our immune system will fight them back. Okay, so immune system is very important when you are susceptible to illness, infection, and difficulty in wound healing. It will actually come out with certain solution or army to protect us. It means that if you were to have a weak immune system, then enzyme actually stimulate a certain glands, okay, to produce our immune cell. immune cell like white blood cells and things like that. Okay, and you have T cell and B cell. Those are like our body's army to protect us. Okay, there are different type of immune cell available in the body, but it has to produce these immune cells. We must have the relevant enzymes to be present before the process of production of immune cell can take place. Therefore, the lack of enzyme will decrease the body's immune function. You see, now disorder of immune system will lead to what? Like poor wound healing. You know, somebody got a cut and they heal very slowly. For example, the diabetes patient, right? And also somebody who has a low immune system easily catch a cold and things like that. Okay, maybe has easily get fever. You know, so this is when immune system drop. This is going to happen. Okay, now 8, we're going to talk about a very important system. It's called our vascular system. Okay, vascular system refer to the blood circulation system. They include all the blood vessels, the vein and artery, and also our heart. You know, enzyme can clean and trash out the whatever rubbish is which is present in the blood can be trashed out by enzyme as well. You know, the body that lack enzymes, toxin will be transported to various parts of the body via the blood. So blood actually is like a transport system. Our blood system, vascular system, is the transportation system that bring all the materials throughout the whole body. You know, every part of the body, from the head to the toe. You know, every part. So when the blood has toxin, that means the whole body can be toxinated. Can be toxinated. Correct? So if you have the proper enzyme present in the blood, they can help us to break down this toxin. Then there'll be less toxin that's sent to different part of our body. Then our body will become healthier. Okay. Therefore, the blood that contain you know, our blood has a lot of things inside. They contain some nutrient. They also contain some toxin. Okay. So vascular system disease that develop if you have insufficient enzyme, one of the key things we see will be like what? The 3 high, you know, high in cholesterol, high in the blood sugar, maybe high uric acid, and things like that. Okay. So lastly, there's the last system I'm talking about will be our muscular system. Okay. Now our muscular systems is our muscles. Muscles actually were closely related to our bone system, our skeleton. Okay. Now, lack of enzyme can lead to calcium deficiency. Now, calcium deficiency will lead to osteoporosis, as you know, a more fractures, a more weaker bone structure. You know. Then also the lack of enzyme can hinder the absorption and synthesis of calcium, lead to osteoporosis, as I mentioned. It will also cause muscle relaxations and lower muscle fiber content, thereby accelerating the aging of our body. You see, our body, when you have a lean body, nice body shape, and very bouncy tissue, very flexible, very tight and firm tissue and skin, are all due to the muscles. Okay, so if you do not have enough enzyme to help us in this way, so our muscle fiber will be less. So you will feel softer tissue, and also, of course, you will age faster. Okay. Now, one of the common muscle system diseases is osteoporosis. Okay. Now, after mentioning all this nice system, do you think, are you still with me? Are you still okay? No problem, yeah? So we just continue. Now, this is become very important because all this system is our internal engine. Okay. In order for human to be healthy, all this system must be in working condition, proper working condition. When all this system work properly, then only we get a healthy body. We will act as a normal person. Okay. But this system to be healthy, for this system to be healthy, all the organs that make up the system has to be healthy. Okay. But for all this organ to be healthy, all the tissue that make up the organ has to be healthy. Now, what makes up the tissue? All the tissue are mixed up of cell. And how to make the cell healthy? All the enzymes that needed by the cell must be there for them to work. All the workers in the cell must be there so that the cell can work. When the cell can work, the tissue can work, the tissue can work, the organs can work. When the organs can work, the system can work, or the nice system can work, then our body can work. That's how our human body is made up of. Okay. So this is how simple it is actually. When you look, you may think it's very, very difficult, very complex about human body. Actually, human body is just the nice system we're talking about. Okay, so I mentioned again the main human main body system that require enzymes. Like for example, what the first system that just you may recall, digestive system. Okay, the first one. The second is our endocrine system, which is our hormone. Okay, the third system will be the nervous system. The fourth system will be a respiratory system, our breathing system. Okay, the fifth system will be reproductive system. The sixth system will be urinary system. Okay, the seventh will be your immune system. And then the eighth will be the vascular or the blood system. And the nine will be the muscular system, your muscles. Okay, so this is only when all these nine systems are in healthy, they are in the proper condition, they have the workers working properly, then only you will work properly. So this is the key. Okay, now in short, inadequate enzyme may be more fatal than just lifestyle diseases. Yes, because when enzyme doesn't work, if the enzyme control certain things, for example, to control your breathing, if the enzyme is not there, you cannot breathe. I tell you, you just die. This one is more fatal than a lifestyle disease or being fat only, correct? So enzyme is very, very critical, correct? So, and there's also a study to show that as our body grows, the enzymes in the body continue to drain. Because see, when you are young, okay, when you're baby stage, okay, we found that 95% of the baby, the other enzymes are improper. So their baby are active, baby are healthier, they grow faster. As you develop into teenagers, so some of the because we do not take care properly sometimes, or we are lack of nutrition, and we don't supply enough enzyme to our body, so we maybe have dropped a little bit, like 25% was drained off, so it left 75% active. As you develop into an adult, and a common adult today, we found that only 50% of the enzyme is still available in the body. Most of them, another 50% already drained out or actually lost, because maybe the lifestyle, maybe they are exposed to certain condition, maybe they are not taking in the proper enzyme as they should. Okay, as we develop further into elderly, maybe like 70, 65, 70 and above, the enzyme system that still work in our body may be left 20%. So when this happens, the body cell is not working properly, even cause certain tissue and organ not working properly, then some of the system may be malfunction. So some of the system maybe work only about 20% efficiency. Therefore, that's why when we get older, as we age, so our body degrade, our organ degrade, and you see people work slower, people respond slower, people think slower, people defend slower, people digest slower, everything slowed down. When all the enzymes are no longer available, there's only one thing. That's the stage we say bye-bye to the world. You see? So this is how important the enzyme is, isn't it? Now in this case, you see, once enzyme is not enough in our body, so what are the common symptoms we see? We will see our skin deteriorate. It doesn't become shiny anymore. It become more wrinkles, pigmentation, and dry. Maybe also you will see your body, if you're insufficient enzyme, will also see swollen, and also we have putting weight, become obese. We may have bloated stomach and nausea, as I mentioned just now. Maybe you feel drowsiness after a meal only, so immediately you want to sleep. After 1 hour you want to sleep already, like the sugar spike syndrome. Now sometimes we have bloated abdomen and constipation. Maybe you always feel if you cannot have enough insufficient enzyme to produce the energy, then you will feel lethargic because you do not have enough energy for you to work. You cannot even wake up. Sometimes hair loss will occur, and also menstrual pain will be experienced, and also frequent urination. This is another very common symptom that we see if we have enzyme deficiency. So the key is you have to, the enzyme that we drain off, you must replenish. What you have lost, you must actually put it back. How? One of the easiest way is to take it in through your food or your beverage. You have to put it back. Whatever lost, you must put it back. Otherwise, your body content will start to go down. That's a simple thing. Now, how can we get a enzyme naturally from our daily life? Very simple. Actually, it's very simple. Eat. Just eat, and eat raw if possible. Eat raw. So this time, as I mentioned at the beginning, what type of food do you eat? How do you prepare your food? A lot of us like to have fried, skewer, barbecue, whatever. So when you do that type of action to prepare your food, what will happen is the food is nicer. Of course, I know it's nicer, it's tastier. But however, the enzyme that you need in the food will be denatured, will be destroyed. So you can eat the food, make you full, but the proper enzyme you need will be lesser and lesser. So my suggestion, our experts say, if you want to have sufficient enzyme in your body to keep us vitality, keep us health, we need to eat at least 3 kilos of 7 color fruits and vegetables. Wow. Do you know how much is 3 kilos of 7 color fruits and vegetables? If you do not know, I give you an example. I give you a suggestion. Go to supermarket tomorrow. Try to buy 3 kilos of mixed vegetable and fruits. Then you know. I think you're going to tell me, Mr. Pei, you're crazy. If I do that, you'll be eating like a cow, correct or not? It will be so much, you know. The stomach is so small, how to eat so much, correct or not? That's why you see the cow non-stop eating, eh? Yeah, of course, this looks like almost impossible to do. But I tell you what, that's the good news. AmLife realized about this, and this is the big problem about our modern days people. Most of us, we like to dine out, we don't like to prepare food, we want convenient, everything, and most of us have now switched to more meat eater instead of a veggie eater, correct? So that's why there are very, very high chance, most of the, that many people nowadays, adults nowadays, they eat 2 liters, they just simply eat 2 liters fruits and vegetables. They not only the fiber that's not enough, but the enzyme which is present in the raw food, in the fresh food, is no longer available to their body. So what is the solution? AmLife have the solution. So AmFit is the solution. So this is the solution. So this contains all the enzyme we need a day. So by just taking a cup of AmFit, okay, you can take 1 or 2 or 3 cups a day. Not cup, in sachet, sorry, in sachet, okay? 1 or 2 or 3 a day is okay. These are all just food, but not only food, but these are the essence of the food. They give us all the essential enzyme we need every day in our body. Isn't it convenient? Isn't it good? Exactly. But of course, today, the time is short for us, okay? Now, today, we have learned so much about enzyme, how important is enzyme to our body, what is enzyme, and how enzyme affect our nice system of our body that makes our whole body healthy. But now, I'm sure a lot of everybody would like to know, so how can this AmFit help me? AmFit can replace this type of fruit and vegetable, but what is this insight that AmFit can help me? Why AmFit is so effective in providing this insight? What is this insight? What is it big of? How is it been done? I know you are very keen of the answer, right? So don't worry, because today is just the first part of AmFit. Okay, now I just want to have everybody have a good idea about why the importance of enzyme and how it's in the body, because watch out for the second part of AmFit, where you're going to learn more about what is AmFit itself, how it is being produced, what is this special inside, how does it contain all the enzymes that we need every day. All right, are you interested in the topic? So I think you better watch out. I believe I'm going to pass the mic back later to the MC, and she's going to tell you when can you follow the second part of AmFit in a very short period of time. Okay, so that's my sharing for today for AmFit. Thank you very much.